Hello my sweeties and welcome back to my channel. If you don't already know me, my name is Elise and thank you for joining my spooky little family. In today's video, we will be talking about films that are my Joker. Let's get into the video. Okay, so listen, before you comment on the fact that I'm wearing the same outfit as another video, it's because I just filmed the Evil Dead Rise trailer reaction, and I was like, you know what? I think I'm gonna film another video today. I mean, we can't waste this bimbo look, come on. This takes a lot of time.
Maybe I'm an outfit repeater, but you're an outfit rememberer, which is just as pathetic.
So before we get into the list today, the whole reason I thought this video would be fun is because I haven't really seen anyone do this yet. So I was like, okay, why not? I may as well do it. I've had this list on my letterbox for a while. I feel like this year I saw an insane amount of horror films, from like new to super old films, and I fell in love and felt very seen by a lot of the ones I watched. This is not going to be a list of 10. This is just going to be kind of random. I believe I have 7 of them, and these are films specifically that spoke to me in a very deep way. So take that for what you will. I'm going on a rant here. Okay. Oh my God. What are you doing, Miss Ma'am? Listen, if you see my cat roaming around in the bed in the background, it's fine, mind your business. Okay, and now that we got all of that out of the way, let's get right into this list. At number 7, we have Repulsion, directed by absolute trash. I ain't even gonna say his name. A sex-repulsed woman who disapproves of her sister's boyfriend sinks into depression and has horrific visions of assault and violence. Okay, so I actually watched this film for the first time. I believe it was at the beginning of this year, or maybe it was at the end of last year, and I saw it because my friend Dylan continuously recommended it to me, and I was like, all right, let's do it. It is such a beautiful movie. There's like really creative shots in this movie as well. There's one shot in particular that is so gorgeous, and it's literally like being shot in the reflection of this like teapot. I don't even know how that was thought of, but it looks absolutely stunning. The acting here is phenomenal, especially from Catherine Devenue, who does a great job. I'm pretty sure I just said her last name wrong. I believe she's French, so I don't know how to say her last name. She gives a really strong performance here. She is super compelling on the screen, and there's a lot of moments where she kind of doesn't say much, but she's doing a lot of subtle acting with her body language and her face. And it's really so good. This movie really spoke to me because I really couldn't relate more. I am almost always that uncomfortable near men. It's unfortunate that it is directed by a trash human being, but the movie is beautiful. The movie is beautiful. It's a great story, and it still very much holds up. It is so good. It's such an intense movie. Also, a little fun fact, if you're a fan of Last Night in Soho, Edgar Wright was actually very inspired by Repulsion for a lot of things about Last Night in Soho, specifically this one shot where all the hands are coming out of the wall. He was very inspired by Repulsion for that. So if you like Last Night in Soho, you definitely want to check out Repulsion. And now at number 6, we have a newer film. We have Pearl, directed by Ty West. Are you surprised? Are you surprised? I mean, is this not like everyone's Joker right now? Because I cannot be the only one saying this. In 1918, a young woman on the brink of madness pursues stardom in a desperate attempt to escape the drudgery, isolation, and lovelessness of life on her parents' farm. I have spoke so much about Pearl. I have given it so much love. I feel like I'm talking it to absolute death. But Mia Goth really spoke to me. Specifically, there is a scene in this film, and this isn't really a spoiler, so if you haven't seen the film, don't worry. There's just a scene in the film where she yells at this character, and she's really, really upset, and he wants to leave, and she's like, what did I do wrong? Like, why did you change? I thought you said you liked me. And she starts yelling at him super aggressively, and you can just feel everything she's feeling. And you know what? It's like, babe, I've been there. So that scene specifically was the one that had me like, oh boy, they're really coming for my soul here. There was a lot about Pearl that was incredibly relatable, and I think that's what makes her such a compelling character and makes you almost sympathize with her throughout the film, even though she's absolutely insane. There are moments where you're like, yeah, she's really, really lonely right now. She's really fucked up, and you just get it. I don't know. That's at least for me. I don't know. Maybe I'm just crazy. Now at number 5, speaking of films that just really came for my entire existence, this is another one that was released in 2022, and it is Smile, directed by Parker Finn. After witnessing a bizarre, traumatic incident involving a patient, Dr. Rose Cotter starts experiencing frightening occurrences that she can't explain. Rose must confront her troubling past in order to survive and escape her horrifying new reality. I've also spoken about this film so much here on the channel. I actually did an entire review of this one. So if you're interested in seeing that, I'm just gonna pop it on up there. I think Smile just really hit for me when I needed it most. I really needed this movie because not only was it absolutely traumatizing for me because of the subject matter and specifically what Rose is going through. There was a lot with Rose that I felt very connected. So a lot of that is really personal, and I feel like this is a movie that will speak to certain people, and for some it will probably just be a silly little horror film that has a lot of jump scares. For me, it's a lot more than that. I don't think it's the most incredible movie in the world, but the story specifically was really, really something special for me. Not to mention, this director absolutely came from my soul because I am very scared of people smiling at me for too long. I've always been scared of that kind of smile that's not a friendly smile and almost is threatening. And the scene that absolutely made this one of my Joker films is the scene where Rose, I guess that's a spoiler. Oh my God. You know what? It's fine. The scene where Rose has to go back to her childhood home and all these things start happening that's really uncomfortable, and she basically has to face this trauma. I am not going to spoil what the trauma is for those who haven't seen it. I know it's still relatively new, but she had to face her trauma head on, and that in itself was very personal for me. Okay, and at number 4, we have, to no one's surprise, we have a giallo. And that giallo is The Strange Vice of Mrs. Ward, directed by Sergio Martino. I know there's a bunch of people that are coming to tell me that it's not Sergio Martino. It's insane how much y'all are impressed by the way I say Sergio. Listen, I'm a Latina. That is how you say that name, okay? We say Sergio. I know that, like, you guys say Sergio, but I'm not going to be saying Sergio. The Strange Vice of Mrs. Ward, to no one's surprise, stars Edwidge Fenwick and George Hilton, my loves. An ambassador's wife discovers that one of the men in her life, either her husband, an ex-lover, or her current lover, may be a vicious serial killer. This movie is a lot to unpack. So I have seen The Strange Vice of Mrs. Ward a total of, I believe, 6 times now. And that is a lot of times for a movie, especially a giallo. So I really love this one. I really love it. I think it definitely took a while to understand it, but once you get it, you get it. The character Edwidge Fenwick plays in this film is going through a lot. She's dealing with a lot. She's feeling a lot of weird feelings. She's having these weird fantasies and dreams. And there's a lot here with her specifically that was also very relatable for me. And I think it was the ending specifically that really sold this, where I was like, Hell yeah, this is a spooky bad bitch movie for sure. Like, this is so good. This movie is basically just a bunch of men gaslighting the shit out of her for like 2 hours. And it's intense. It's crazy. But this movie is so beautiful. All of these like dreamlike sequences are so gorgeous, and the music, everything about it is so dreamy, and you just kind of want to live in this world, and where they are is so beautiful. Oh my goodness. I have truly become obsessed with this movie to another level. Like, I have one of the biggest posters in the world in my dining room. I'm actually gonna insert a crazy photo of me with it right here so you can see how big it is. It's massive. Oh my goodness. I was so lucky to find that poster on eBay for a pretty good price, and I haven't regretted it. And now at number 3, we have Hatching, directed by Hannah Berhlom. A young gymnast who tries desperately to please her demanding mother discovers a strange egg. She hides it and keeps it warm, but when it hatches, what emerges shocks them all. I have spoken about this film a good amount on my channel. It actually made my list for best of 2022. I was pleasantly surprised by this. This is a Finnish horror film that is actually available on Hulu if you'd like to watch it. Since I feel it's a bit more underrated and not too many people are talking about it, I also don't really want to spoil this one. But I truly did not think that this film would hit me the way it did. But there definitely is a pattern with the films on this list. A lot of the stories and a lot of the themes are very similar, so I think that's why these all really spoke to me. Hatching also has a similar story to Smile, where there is this interesting dynamic between the mother and the daughter, and a lot of it is very intense. This movie, while it's not entirely the scariest movie I have ever seen in terms of jump scares and stuff like that, it really isn't like that. It's more scary in the relationship aspect between this young girl and her mom and her entire family dynamic. The dad is kind of in the clouds, and the mom is this very intense mommy vlogger who's kind of exploiting her child online and doesn't really pay attention or care to have an authentic relationship with her. And the entire movie shows that incredibly well. And the way that this young girl begins to care for this egg that she finds, and the way she's almost trying to mother it, just shows even more how much she's dealing with the pain of the way that her mother treats her and kind of not having that love. It really is a very compelling story, and I always talk about this, I have to talk about it. There is incredible use of CGI and puppeteering for the creature in this movie. I thought it was so well done. I really, really loved that. Like, chef's kiss. Not to mention, the movie is absolutely stunning, so if you have Hulu, definitely check it out. And now we're only getting even more unhinged. At number 2, we have Possession, directed by Andrzej Zulawski. A woman starts exhibiting increasingly disturbing behavior after asking her husband for a divorce. Suspicions of infidelity soon give way to something much more sinister. This one speaks to me. This one speaks to me because it is absolutely unhinged. This may be one of the craziest horror films I've ever seen in my life. It's actually one of my favorite horror films of all time. It's in my top 5 of all time. This one is definitely underrated and is more of a cult classic. But guess what? Guess what, baddies? They actually just put it on Shudder. After so long with so many people asking me, oh my god, how can I watch Possession? I can't find it. It's so cool that Shudder finally this year just uploaded it. So you can go watch it over there. Isabelle Adjani in this film, she just speaks to me. There's a lot about their relationship, even though I have never been married or divorced, there's a lot about this relationship between these two people that really, really speak to me. There's just a lot going on. There's, again, a lot of gaslighting happening here. The movie is absolutely bonkers, but I really think it's Isabelle Adjani's very strong performance and the way that she cares about this character she's playing, and just she gives her all in this. She does such an amazing job. It is by far one of my favorite performances of all time. It is Oscar worthy. I have no idea how she just never got recognized for this movie back then. Where was the Oscar for this? Because this shit is crazy. I just really have a thing for feminine rage. And you know what? Speaking of feminine rage, at number 1, we have Black Swan, directed by Darren Aronofsky. A committed dancer struggles to maintain her sanity after winning the lead role in a production of Stanislavski's Swan Lake. I have loved this movie for so long. I have yet to do an entire dedicated review to this film. I really want to wait to the perfect moment because there's just so much to say about it and so much analysis you can make with this movie. I mean, it is wild. So there's a lot in this movie specifically that really speaks to me that I probably shouldn't have watched this film when I did, but it also stuck with me for so long that I guess it was a good time. I actually watched Black Swan when it came out in theaters. I don't remember what year this came out, but I was pretty young, and I went to go see this with my dad. Yeah, so if you've seen Black Swan, you know that Natalie Portman, who plays Nina, essentially plays this very shy, timid girl who hasn't really discovered herself yet. She hasn't really figured out her sexuality. She's not as open as the other girls in her dance class, and she's just very closed off. Once you kind of get more into her home life, and again, you see this dynamic between her and her mother, you start to understand why she acts that way. And there's just a lot in this movie that really, really spoke to me. I had no business watching this in the theater with my dad when Mila Kunis and Natalie Portman were getting all hot and heavy and stuff. Listen, let's just say that I was having feelings that I just did not know I was having, and I was like,
I'm a homosexual.
Guess what? She's here and she's queer now, so hey! This is one of those films that I have talked about for so long, and just, I love it. I love it so much. It speaks to me. Upon each rewatch, it just gets better and better for me. I really love it. Not to mention, a lot of this was probably more relatable than any of the other ones on this list, specifically because I went to an acting conservatory. So a lot of what she's going through and all the blood, sweat, and tears and all the hours and the rehearsals and how crazy the schedule is, it was very, very relatable, and kind of feeling like you almost don't belong because everyone is super outgoing and bubbly, and you've been kind of closed off to that for so long that you're just like, whoa, what's going on here? What's wrong with me? So we're getting a little personal, but that is why this film specifically is number 1. There was a lot more here that was relatable for me than any of the other ones on this list. And again, the ending, the entire dance sequence when she is the Black Swan, chef's kiss. Oh my goodness. Natalie Portman was incredible. And it's a spooky bad bitch moment. I mean, the ending is crazy, but that ending is always so good. It always hits every time. And I already know how it's gonna end, and it still hits. I still get the gut feeling in my chest like I want to cry, you know? It hits. My goodness. Darren Aronofsky just went off. Okay, so if you made it to the end of the video, hi, how are you doing? This was actually really fun to talk about because I've been really wanting to talk more about these films that are really personal to me and that I related a lot to, so this is cool. All right, you guys, that is it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, as it really helps me a lot. And be sure to click that little notification bell to be up to date every single time I upload. And please let me know in the comments what are some horror films that you consider your Joker that you feel like personally really resonated with you. I'd love to talk about it. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.